Hello, everybody. Robin here at Toadstool Tarot, and I'm having a bit of a dilemma today. This is because I have recently purchased a Dazzling deck that's too tempting not to share. However, I'm not really sure I have my doubts about the origins of this deck. It may actually be some sort of counterfeit, but I have no way of knowing for sure. And how much of an onus is there on me as a customer when I buy a deck off of Amazon to guess that it may not be a legitimate deck? I am trusting Amazon to do their due diligence when offering a deck. I went searching on Amazon for new decks, and I saw some images from this one. And to tell you the truth, I don't even know what this one is called. The box says it's called Gold Foil Tarot. I believe it was listed under some other name on Amazon. And it seemed to me like an obvious Chinese production. And we know that there's the Chinese decks are rife with counterfeiting. But does that mean we should never buy a Chinese deck? It's not true in all cases. Anyway, I saw this deck. I looked at some of the stills, and it reminded me very much of a deck that I have, a plastic deck, the Neo Rider from Ivy Feng. Now, oops, put this upside down. Now, the Neo Rider I have some issues with because it's beautiful, but it's so slippery that it's hard for me to use. And I thought, well, I saw these images, and I thought, it looks very similar, and someone even in the comments claimed that it had ripped off Ivy Feng. And I looked at the images, and actually, the images were close, but not quite the same. I thought maybe they were saying it ripped her off because of the sort of metallic quality of the deck. The plastic cards, they have a kind of a silk brocade quality about them, very shiny and just sort of stunning. And I looked at the card close-ups, and I noticed that Ivy's deck, the shadow deck from the Neo Rider group, featured artwork from the RWS, Pamela Coleman Smith's original line work, colored and made metallic. And I looked at this other one, and it seemed to me like it was more from the Universal Waite Smith deck, based on the Mary Hanson Roberts coloring and shading. So I thought, well, okay, this is not the same as Ivy's. It seems to use the same metallic manufacturing process. Maybe they just use the same plant. It's not her images. It's more from the Hanson Roberts imagery. So I don't know what to say about this. I went ahead and I bought it. Oh, the other thing is it was not particularly cheap. I think it was $39 or maybe even a little more. So I thought, well, this is not a cheap knockoff. This is like regular tarot price. So I went ahead and I bought it. And then after I bought it and got it, I went and did a little research online. I Googled Ivy's website. I looked through the website. The images from this deck are not on her website, so apparently it's not hers. I Googled the name on the deck. I Googled the name in the URL in the listing at Amazon. Couldn't turn up any information. When I did do the search for gold foil tarot, another review came up of golden foil tarot cards, but they didn't match these. So I don't know. And I also have seen several versions with different backs on them. The box design is a little different. The card designs are a little different. I have no idea what's going on with this. But having said all that, I'm going to go ahead and share it because it's an amazing deck. Now, as to the back of the cards, I actually love this back design more than I love the back design on Ivy's deck. I should probably take a card out here to show you a comparison between the two decks. I'll take the Fool. And this one opens the same way. It's a magnetic flap. Now, this was supposed to come with a little white book, which is missing. It's also missing its title card. I don't really care about missing either one of them. This card was in there on the top of the deck. What we see in the symbology of tarot derives in large measure from our own intuition, and once revealed reflects back upon each of us to further enrich our lives. That's the only explanation in the box. And look at these glorious backs. You'll see. Another reason I was tempted to get this deck, I thought, well, I don't know if I'm going to like it because the problem with Ivy's deck is it's so slippery. It's like handling greased piglets. The cards literally jump and dive out of your hand when you're trying to use them. But I saw these cards and I saw what looks like textures on them. I thought, well, maybe I'll get a little luckier with this deck. Maybe the embossing in the patterns will be enough that they won't be as slippery as her deck. And that turns out to be the case. Very mildly, but it is a little bit easier to handle. It's not as slippery as the Neo Rider Shadow deck. Now, I don't know if you can see here side by side. I mean, I don't even have my light on, and these are really reflecting quite a bit. You can see it's a little brighter. There's more shadows and dimensionality in the images. The images are not sort of line and flat pattern like in this one. They're more shaded, like I said, like the Mary Hanson Roberts illustrations. And you'll also notice in each card in the background, in the sky, they have these sort of moire patterns in the reflection from the foil. So, I mean, this deck is special effects dazzle mania from card A to Z. It is just an adventure. Even if you don't want to read with these cards, just like handling and looking at the patterns is enough to be a stunner. And they vary from card to card. Look at the difference in the patterns you see here. I mean, it's almost three-dimensional. I mean, it moves. And I apologize to people that I'm going to be like twitching and wiggling all these cards, but I really want you to be able to see beyond the familiar images to the background patterns. the busier cards don't show them as well as, like here you can see, this, where the skies are more blank in the background, you get to see the patterns better. This is very hard to photograph. Now, because of my doubts as to the origin of this deck and its legitimacy, I am not going to state the name of the deck or indicate where it is. I mean, you can do your own research on Amazon, seek this deck out, be sure to look at the close-up images under a magnifying glass. Anyone who wishes can email me, and if you desire, I will supply you with the Amazon link to the deck. But, yeah, at least for a limited time. I mean, if you're viewing this video months or years from now, I probably will have mislaid the link or not remember it. But if you email me within the next week or two, I probably can supply you with the Amazon link from my order. And you can find my email under the information on my YouTube page. I tell you, this deck is so dazzling. I'm having trouble stopping handling it. I put it back in the box, pulled it out of the box, gone through every card 4 or 5 times since I've gotten it. And it's just really fun to play with and sort of space out. It's kind of psychedelic in a way. I wondered when I first saw Ivy's decks, you know, what was coming in this technological trend, and I just can't imagine what's next after seeing these. Oh, I should tell you another surprise to me when people talked about maybe this was ripped off from Ivy. Inside the box, where there's a pattern there and a little quote, this is Ivy's signature down here on the bottom. So something's wrong. If the deck isn't ripped off from her, the box seems certainly to. Or maybe it's not ripped off. Maybe it's one of her products. I have no idea. This just felt to me like too good a deck not to share. And I appreciate the variety of patterns in the backgrounds of these cards. I don't know how this is done. I don't know the technology behind it. I'm personally not particularly fond of plastic cards, but these should last forever. And it does have a little bit of a petrochemical kind of smell to it, if that bothers you. The cards are extremely flexible because they're plastic. I almost wish they could capture this kind of technology on paper cards, like laminated or coated paper cards, because I still prefer paper to plastic. Also, these are really good cards to use in lower lighting because they do pick up and reflect a lot of light. If you have bright, harsh light right on them, it can be a little bit overwhelming to take in these images. And I don't know whether I'd be challenged if I wasn't familiar with the original images in this deck. But because I know them so well, the extra bling and glitz in the gold foil appearance is actually an enticement or an inducement, a fascination. This is like a psychedelic experience handling these cards. And people talk about the coloring in the Tarot Collectibles cards as being psychedelic. Here we have a technology that really is psychedelic, in my opinion. It's just not just a matter of the ink color. And they have a really nice texture and feel to them too. Like I said, these cards remind me of silk brocade fabric. You know, where they use that shiny metallic thread in the weave of fabric when they create brocade. I'm afraid these patterns are not fully picking up, but I'm hoping you can see that from card to card, the patterns do change. There's a lot of variety in this deck. Adding dimension and excitement in each card. When you lay out a spread, I'm certain it will dazzle. I'm sorry I'm not talking more. I'm virtually speechless. I think I've said everything I need to say about this deck. And these cards, the images just speak for themselves. Maybe someone out there, one of you viewers, can get to the bottom of the mystery of this deck. And if you do, put the information in the comments. For now, like I said, I have Googled Ivy Feng and tried to find out if this deck is attributed to her, but she doesn't seem to be offering it on her website. If she had, I'd probably have bought it there. Maybe somebody jumped the gun and it's yet to appear? I honestly don't know. But I actually don't feel like I should carry the guilt with me. I'm a shopper and a consumer, and as such, I'm relying on the shops that I buy from to vet their vendors in terms of the integrity in their products. I'm by no means promoting seeking out counterfeit decks, but how much of a detective do I need to be as a consumer to buy a product that is legitimate? Should the onus be on me? How? Why? What steps am I expected to take? I do know there's something off about this deck. I don't know that would help me to return it. I really like the deck. And what I say about something off is because it was supposed to have a title card and a little white book, which are both missing. So I probably could reach out to Amazon and ask for a replacement, but that won't necessarily resolve the issue. And as it's an RWS deck, I don't really need another little white book on the RWS system. I have dozens and dozens. And I don't miss a title card. The title card that I saw just showed the same image that's on the Mary Hanson Roberts deck, but metallicized. So, anyway, I wonder if you're intrigued by this deck and the technology behind it as I am. I did see, I don't know if I'm repeating myself, I saw others similar to this with a different back design. And I also saw some that were borderless. So there seemed to be a number of them using boxes similar to this. I just don't know what to tell you. But anyway, I hope you got something out of this little walkthrough, and I hope to see you all soon. Thank you for continuing to watch my channel. Thank you for your support. Do what you feel is the morally responsible action to take in terms of your own deck collecting. Yeah. Okay, I will see you all soon. Thank you. Bye.